I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're honored to delve into Constant Courage, Martin Luther King Jr. and Jesus Christ. It is a profound work by Dr. Tracy Emerick that draws compelling parallels between the courage of the two transformative figures in history. This book explores the depths of their bravery, standing firm for individual freedom, choosing peace over violence, loving unconditionally, and spreading their messages of hope and equality to all. We're delighted to have this very powerful author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank our team at Inks and Bindings for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support writers like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his wonderful book. The links are below this interview. Doctor, great to see you here today on Spotlight.
Good to see you.
The similarities between MLK and Jesus Christ are so numerous and so great. I'm surprised I'd never thought of it before, and I've never heard of the two really compared to each other that much before. You hear a lot of comparisons between JFK and MLK and RFK and MLK, I guess because they occupied the same era. But Jesus Christ and MLK is quite a comparison. When did this first come to your attention and say, hey, that's an interesting thought?
Well, it actually came to my attention after the first book I wrote, which, just to position it, the first book was called Extreme Entrepreneurs, Steve Jobs and Jesus Christ.
Okay.
And so then it's turned into a 4-book series, but they're all comparing a known human with Jesus Christ and his accomplishments. So Martin Luther King was pretty much a natural for Constant Courage, because I needed somebody that showed the courage of their convictions, and he certainly did, as did Jesus. But MLK was a great standard bearer for having nonviolent courage. And so I thought, yeah, that works. Yeah, Martin Luther King and Jesus Christ, we're for Constant Courage. And like you said, the parallels are striking.
Yeah. Both killed, assassinated, murdered, however you want to put it, put to death for their beliefs. The similarities are great. Do you get any pushback from people when you do compare Steve Jobs and MLK and others to Jesus? I mean, they're a good company when you're comparing them to Jesus, you know?
Well, I do get pushback. I mean, the most pushback I got was the one on entrepreneurs, thinking of Jesus as an entrepreneur.
Right.
But
so let's hear your argument there about Steve. I don't see the similarities between Steve Jobs and Jesus, other than maybe a beard, but I'm sure you've got more ammo than that. Tell me how Steve Jobs compares to Jesus.
Both of them changed living. Steve Jobs didn't invent anything. All he did was package it all together and change the world. So, I mean, he was a very accomplished thinker, and that's what my first book is about, is coming up with what I call the big idea. And he was certainly a big idea man. And Jesus was also a big idea man, because he changed the whole culture of faith and God at the time. So both of them had, in my terms, they both changed the world in some way.
Yeah.
Both of them, in that sense, are entrepreneurs.
I can see those similarities for sure. Well, if this is still vital 2,000 years from now, we'll know that the comparison was definitely well worth it. So you've got Steve Jobs compared to Jesus. You've got MLK compared to Jesus. Let's talk about your other two books as well. Who do you compare? What are those titles?
The other one is Nifty Neighbors, is Mr. Rogers and Jesus Christ. And the last one is Consummate Coaches, Bill Belichick and Jesus Christ.
Okay. Now, I think Tom Brady would find offense to that. No, I'm just joking. But let's start with Mr. Rogers. How does Mr. Rogers compare to Jesus?
Well, Mr. Rogers was in fact a Baptist minister, but he portrayed kindness, friendship. He was all-inclusive on his show, and I might be missing my younger market here, because they may not know who Mr. Rogers is, but if they go on YouTube, they can look at a Mr. Rogers episode and find out who he is.
Yeah.
So, so the people part of Jesus is what Mr. Rogers signifies. Now,
The kind human element, basically.
yeah, and now Belichick represents leadership and management and understanding. I mean, all coaches have a big job.
Mhm.
But again, I'm comparing and contrasting his skill sets and demonstrated. Obviously, he liked to win with Jesus, who also was a good manager. I mean, he only managed like 12 people, but his management style was very expansive in the sense of what he got them to do. So it's accomplishing a task through the efforts of others is what the last book's about.
Very, very interesting. All of the comparisons you make are extremely intriguing. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, I spent 25 years in the direct marketing business. Now it's called database marketing.
Okay.
I was an early adopter with the internet in 1994 as far as a marketing tool. I started an internet company the same time Jeff Bezos did. He went a different direction than I did. So he was a lot more successful at it.
Right.
But then I ended up doing consulting, and then I did what I call chicken talks, which I did stand-up luncheon talks for professional meetings, business meetings. So most of my life has been spent in the marketing and sales arena of business.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So this book is a natural for you. You do know about business, you do know about marketing, and it sounds like it's a compelling way to get people to listen to the stories of either courage, being a good neighbor, entrepreneurship, leadership, right? It's good
Exactly.
packaging for it.
And I wrote it for people who might be considered agnostic.
Yeah.
So they would recognize the Bill Belichick's and the Mr. Rogers, and then the parallels to try to get them to think a little bit about that side of the game, so to speak. So they're all in the same genre of the comparisons, just to get people to think.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know that I'm going to convert anybody,
Right.
but at least I would like an agnostic to have the exposure.
Yeah. No, I think it's very, very interesting. And when you were researching about MLK and making your comparisons to Jesus, was there anything that struck you like, wow, that is a strange coincidence? Like that really is an unusual parallel between the two.
Well, that one kind of hits you in the face because it's so strong. I think the most compelling part of the research revealed that MLK was tough on his own people about being nonviolent, and he was very serious about it, because every now and again somebody would push back a little bit, and he would fire him because he told them absolutely no resistance, and I found that fascinating.
Yeah. Well, to rise to that level of fame and acknowledgement, I think it takes a tough man to make a tender chicken, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
And I think his crowning glory, obviously, was I Have a Dream speech that he gave.
Yeah. Yeah. He was a very charismatic man. He was a very eloquent man, very articulate man. And the message he espoused was embraced by both white Americans and Black Americans. And that was, I think, his true power.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And what do you hope people take away from this book about courage?
Well, to have your own, the idea is each one of these is a step in your own development. And to have, if you have an idea, which is step one, then you have to have the courage to move it forward. And that was one of the things that MLK did, was he had the courage to overcome fear.
Mm.
And so that's what I concentrate on, is really the courage he had to take his ideas and, so to speak, move them into the market.
Yeah.
So it's not for the faint of heart.
Right.
If you've got a big idea, well, Steve Jobs, he had a big idea,
Right.
and they fired him.
Right.
But actually, his big ideas came after they fired him. But that's beside
Right.
the point.
Right. But it goes to show you that, no great mind along the way has not been, put down by a lesser mind, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the name of this book is Constant Courage, Martin Luther King Jr. and Jesus Christ. It's an amazing work, a profound work by Dr. Tracy Emerick. It draws a compelling parallel between the two figures of courage, two transformative figures in world history. It's an amazing book. All four of the books sound amazing. Are all available for purchase right now?
Yes. All on Amazon.
Okay, look for them on Amazon. The links are below this interview. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Pleasure's all mine. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.